Jessen, who are you?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out. I think I'll always be trying to figure that out. I think a lot of what I do is kind of the process of uncovering different experiences and spaces and feelings, so I can be like, what are my limits?
Oh, that's interesting. What is interesting you now?
Depends on how serious you want to be. Lasers have been a topic lately.
We can talk about lasers. So how do you see the world?
I mean, often we always perceive the worst things, but I think overall, life is actually it's in harmony. It's quite balanced.
So you're an optimist.
I am definitely an optimist.
Awesome!
Everything is awesome.
At the end of the day, you have to will your reality into existence. You can't ask someone to do that.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Do you feel like you're infusing some of that optimism into what you're working on now?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing to do, especially when starting an early stage business in a very intense market. There's a lot of shit that's out of your control. So it's much less about like brute forcing your way through and figuring out like, how do you just flow around these things? And like, even if it sucks, don't give it attention, just find a new way through that. And then once you're in the spot that you want, then you can start to kind of like invoke the ecosystem level changes you want.
So how did you get into the world that you're in right now? Like the problem that you're trying to solve? How windy was that road?
Very.
Yeah.
It's like deeply unconventional. The only conventional thing is that I study software engineering. That's kind of like school pointed me to like, go be a software engineer, go be a CTO, XYZ. But I really like the human interaction, like the product level stuff, the problems you're solving in the business. But at the end of the day, you have to know like, how are we going to integrate this into someone's environment to actually solve the problem for them? And I think process is like especially today, process is more important than anything. Figuring out what that process is a pain in the ass.
The friction of going from A to B with tools like ChatGPT and all these Gen AI things is removing the friction of the creative process, the process of making. It's really important to keep in mind that those moments are good. They're not good in the moment, but they are so necessary to making something new.
These AI tools they turn creation into just an input-output function.
Yeah.
There's no process behind it anymore. It's like I can just give it a seed of an idea, it explodes with shit. And instead of me like going through the pain of like crafting the path to the output, I am just like selecting from a plethora of options.
How has that process brought you to where you are with Shadow? Did you have a clear vision of what Shadow was going to be?
Shadow initially started out, we were like, maybe we can help accelerate academic research by giving people this AI-led brain of the knowledge they're consuming so they can chart paths through it and pull out different insights. To do a PhD, you have to read like hundreds of papers, and then you have to distill that into like your paper, which is effectively like, across these papers, I've drawn these insights, and that's the narrative I'm going to write on. We could effectively just visualize that and give them all these like cool paths that they could pull narratives out of, but there's no money in academia. There's this one key insight that a designer shared with me. And he said, the only metaphor for AI is a human.
The only metaphor for AI is a human.
Yeah. Usually when he gets into projects, he goes to this metaphor exploration. But he's like
that. It's a nice nugget of a process. Find a metaphor for what are you trying to build and help navigate the conversation.
Yeah. Well, because that links it to reality, right? It's like you have this new thing that's kind of like an amorphous blob. So it's like we need some reference point to reality that we can like start to craft a narrative around. But as soon as AI is part of it, he's like, honestly, the only metaphor I can come up with is a human. There's not another option. From then until now, it's mainly just been a process of like, what humans do we want to scale and what like human process do we want to scale? And I mean, through months of iteration and a lot of pain.
Go! 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 Oh!
we arrived at like, there's some really excellent humans out there that the world is like, I want more of you. But at the end of the day, they can't pump out that much work without diluting the quality. And I think that's a really interesting place to insert AI because the world has already agreed that like, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. We want more of that. The reality is that AI ends up delivering more homework and operational disruption than any scale and ease you're looking for. And that's because like we haven't really figured out the integration problem yet. For AI to work at scale in these high performing organizations, it has to be managed. So that's what we spend most of our time innovating on. How do you bring this metaphor for a human into an organization that already has human processes and interfaces without blowing up the whole thing? That's like what we really focus on, is making that transition really, really easy.